Hi there. It's March the 8th, and we're continuing our journey through Torah with the book of Numbers, in Hebrew Bamidbar, meaning in the desert, because the people are in the desert. And we come to chapters 10 and 11. At the beginning of chapter 10, the Lord commands for trumpets to be made. Trumpets, in Hebrew chatzotzrot, are not the same as shofar. Shofarim is something different, and the shofar is used particularly in Jubilee and at other times. But this is hatzotzrot, this is trumpets that are made, and they're made of silver, and they're made to call the people for particular purposes, to call together the leaders of the people, or to call the people when they're moving, when it's time to move on the journey, to call a gathering, and so on. And then we read of how the people move, and when the cloud moves, then all of the people move, but they move in an order. They move. Reuben leads the way, the tribe of Reuben leads the way. The Levites carry the things of the tabernacle, the holy things, and then other tribes bring up the rear, so that they're traveling together. And when they travel, there's a cry that goes up that is called by Moses, and it's quite an interesting call. Arise, Lord, let your enemies be scattered, let those who hate you flee from before your face. In Hebrew, it has a wonderful rhythm and resonance to it. In Hebrew, it's Kuma Adonai v'yafutzo yavecha v'yanusu misanecha mipanecha. You must hear that rhythm. Kuma Adonai v'yafutzo yavecha v'yanusu misanecha mipanecha. And you can hear Moses speaking these words and calling the people to begin their journey to the next place. In chapter 11, we come across a real problem, the people of Israel. The people of Israel have grown up in Egypt, and they've been used to fish and onions and melons and cucumbers, and now they're in the desert. They're receiving miraculous provision of bread, or this man, this thingy bread, this bread they've been given. They're not quite sure what it is, so they call it manna, man, meaning what is it, or this thing that is like bread. But they complain about it, and they're tired of eating this bread. And so they say, oh, how we long for those good foods we had. And this causes an outbreak of the Lord's fire to come and to consume numbers of them in the camp. It's a terrible situation. And then God says, okay, if you want meat, if you want something better to eat than the manna, I'll give it to you, but you'll be sick of it when you eat it. Moses is fed up with the people. He's really exasperated, and he says to God, God, just kill me. Finish this off. This is too much for me. I can't carry this people. You told me to bring them out here into the wilderness. So God actually says, okay, I'm going to appoint 70. I'm going to bring 70 people, and I'm going to put on them the same spirit that is on you to help you carry this burden of the people. We find out more about that in the next reading. We know that God is a great provider. It's interesting, one of the questions that Moses asked of God is, where am I going to find food for so many? Not all the fish in the sea would possibly, not loads and loads of flocks of sheep would meet the need here. And it reminded me a little bit of the question the disciples asking Jesus, where are we going to find bread for so many people in the New Testament? God is a provider. God looks after us. And we can know that he will take care of our needs. When we're completely turned towards him, when we look to him, he is Adonai Yireh. He is the Lord, our provider. It's not right to complain about what God gives to us, because God's provision is just right for our needs. It may not meet all our wants. It may not meet all the things we would lust after, to use the words of the scripture, but God provides for us. And we can know that he is going to make sure that we don't see the poor, that we don't see the needy begging in the land of the living. Have a good March the 8th.